So, what are my impressions of my journey around Albania, Kosovo and Northwest Macedonia? Coming here from Vlorë, where independence was declared in 1912. From that balcony there, this is the historic balcony which you'll see in any picture to do with the Declaration of Independence 1912. But look behind, all the buildings are new. And when independence was declared here in Vlorë in 1912, the population of Vlorë was just over 5,000. It's now 100,000 with a university, very modern city, actually very similar in how it looks to Swansea, or how Swansea could look. Better planning, that says something. I've had a very positive view of Albania. I got a lot of respect for them for fighting for their country and for their language. Look, think about it, 1912. Wales was the biggest coal exporter in the world. We had literacy rates. Welsh had been a literate language for 700 years in a way which Albanian hadn't. The first manuscripts in Albanian really had until like the 15th century. Wales we'd had stuff written in Welsh for 300 years before then, you know, in substance as well. We had the railways, we had towns, we had literacy. Albanians built up from there. And this man, Ismail Cemali, one of the founders of independence, he stood on the balcony 1912, and he'd be very happy today. And people say, oh, look at Jobbins, look at these Welsh nationalists, want Wales to be like Albania. Well, yes, I do want Wales to be like Albania, not under Enver Hoxha or under King Zog either. But no, as an independent nation, happy in itself, with its own ambassadors and own army and, you know, currency, and just fighting for itself, not waiting for another parliament, another country to tell us what to do. You know, in 1912, the Brits were told us Wales is too poor to be independent. And no, hey, guess what? They're saying exactly the same thing, the same old lie. And Albania, if they can do it, after what, 45 years of sociopath like Enver Hoxha, a huge collapse in 1990s, you know, people caught up in a pyramid scam. The Second World War on its territory, but one of the few countries then, the only country where there were more Jews at the end of the Second World War than before, because the Albanians hid the Jews. This is again something which those smug British Unionists seem to think that small countries are by definition more ethnically conservative and xenophobic than great nations, big ones like Russia and Germany and France and Britain. More Jews in Albania after the Second World War than before it. And they also had then, of course, the First World War on its territory. That man, Cemali, offered the Turks that he'd fight with them in the First World War, or the Albanians would, if they can get back Kosovo. The plan was leaked and it never happened. He had to die in exile in Italy in 1919. Things could have been different then. So what my impressions, in general impressions, not just political, of Albania, Kosovo and Macedonia. I'm very impressed. Some minor things, first of all, you know, literacy, littering is a problem. Well, I think across the world we need to just get rid of plastic bottles. You know, looking at this here. This doesn't only happen, of course, in Albania. It's in Wales as well. I pick up litter every time I'm going for a walk in Aberystwyth. But there's lots of litters around the road. You get the impression the houses are very big. I don't know if people have been abroad working in Germany or Switzerland, whatever. You see quite a lot of Swiss flags and Swiss stickers on cars. And then you can build a house here very, very cheaply compared to the wages you'd be getting in Switzerland or Germany or in the UK. So the houses, I'm sure, are very spotless inside, but outside people just dump in litter. So that's a problem. Stray dogs, loads of stray dogs. They've all been tagged. They're just sunbathing on the squares on the streets of Albania and Kosovo and in Skopje as well. And just sleeping off the day in the beautiful sunshine, but making all the noise at night. It's a great, if you're thinking of tourism and something different to go on holiday, you know, look at this. This is Vlorë, the second, third biggest city, I think, in the country. Very similar in a way to the geography of Swansea. Think of the mountains just behind sort of Neath or Llansamlet there. And they've made a better job than Swansea as well. Again, you know, we're sort of looking down on these small countries as if they're some joke countries. As I said, the population of Vlorë in 1912, First World War, was 5,000. I've now built a city, even with Enver Hoxha. And you know, I'm not too sure the planning laws here, but this is a nice stretch of territory. It's the 1st of October today. It's 25 degrees, so it's a fantastic place. If you are thinking of coming on holiday, it's hotter than I expected, so I've got too much clothes. So something is cheap. So if that's obviously something to think of. Doing my old cappuccino guide. A cappuccino would cost you about 200 lek, which is about 180 euros. So what's that, 150 pounds? And that's expensive cappuccino. So usually we pay something like £1, essentially 100 lek for a coffee here. So the food, I had a very nice meal in the old square, the old Turkish bazaar, I think, in Tirana. That was the tave, which is like a traditional dish with avi, some kind of meat, I forget the English word, and peppers and tomato, and very nice salad and a beer, and that cost something like £6. And a very nice ice cream around the corner for something like £1. So it's cheap here. Hotels, I've been staying in, you know, obviously the cheapest ones, but I've been paying something like £30 a night for a hotel or apartment. 35 maybe. That doesn't include breakfast, but who cares about that? You know, just have a coffee in the morning, so that's fine with me. Then there's so the accommodation is cheap. There are no trains here, so you basically, literally there are no trains in Albania. And what trains they did have collapsed in 1990, so that's something I hope they look at. The road system is good here. The roads are fine, all nicely tarmacked. No big potholes. Maybe in parts of the cities you'd have some problems, but no, there's no problems really. So driving is a pleasure here. It's imagine if Wales didn't have England next to it, and how fewer cars there'd be on the roads. So basically that's Albania. So it's just a pleasure. It's a pleasure driving across the Balkans. Beautiful mountains, beautiful wooded mountains, lakes. So it's a really pleasure place to go for a drive. Stick on the local radio, it's lovely. Those are ships going to Italy. So Italy's very strong here. Language wise, everyone obviously speaks Albanian. I obviously try to speak Albanian to people. People think I'm some kind of a nutter. Not that I care. The older people obviously much English at all. Obviously, if you're going to tourist places, they're going to speak some English with you, so that's not a problem in that respect. And they speak Italian, from what I understand as well, because they used to be able to pick up Italian TV and radio from, especially here in Vlorë and on the coast. And there's some prestige to it being Italian as well. Younger people all speak English to quite a good degree. Certainly, if you're going to go anywhere, tourists are going to be in contact with the public. Then there's understand your English. So I enjoyed speaking Albanian, and I got a little clip of me speaking Albanian to a woman in a service station in North Albania, which I'll post. So I've enjoyed that. So that's for me, it's part of the holiday, and I enjoyed it. I think it's respectful. Other impressions. I like it here because the men are about my height, so there's no really tall. It's not like going on holiday to this Netherlands where you feel like some kind of freak because they're all so tall. Men here are about 5'7", 5'8", something like that. The good thing, which I like as well, is carry these little bags which I have trying to show now. So everyone's got this. This is not some kind of a fashion feature. It's not some kind of making a statement. It's not a puff bag, as it was called when I started using them. I saw these kind of bags first of all in Eastern Europe. I think it's in like Ljubljana, I don't remember, maybe Zagreb in 1991, and I thought, oh, what's a sensible way just to wear yourself, isn't it? Put your wallets and glasses and stuff in that bag, especially now we got mobile phones, which wasn't a thing in 1991. And here in Albania and in Kosovo and in Skopje, everyone's wearing bags. It's not a fashion item, it's not a sort of statement at all, it's just a very sensible thing to carry. I don't know why we had this kind of idea in the UK, if you carry a bag with some kind of dilettante or showing off or whatever. So that's not here. The men's cycle, which is great. Just seen old blokes cycling. I've seen nobody in lycra, nobody in helmets. People just cycling, going to work or going to the shop, having a coffee. Loads of old blokes cycling. So it's great to see. I love it. And maybe they can't drive, the old people, I don't know. Obviously, if you're living in this kind of these kind of parts in Vlorë and all the cities and stuff like this, then everything's quite convenient. So you never can really cycle more than 500 metres, are you? You're just cycling to get a loaf of bread or a coffee or see a mate. So I don't think anyone's cycling more than, well, certainly no more than a kilometre, probably less than that. So that's nice to see. I hope that keeps. Dogs are everywhere. So there's stray dogs here. They sleep and sunbathe in the morning on the squares, even on Skanderberg Square, the main square in Albania, in Tirana, but they're sleeping everywhere. Trouble is, they get up at night and start barking. So I've been woken up twice by dogs barking at night, and I've also been woken a couple of times by the muezzin, I hope I've said that correctly, which is the call to prayer from the mosque, which is around 5, I think, in the morning. That was in Tirana. I was woken up, and I think in Shkodër. Because I quite like it. I quite like when you're going to Albania, that at whatever time of day you're hearing the muezzin, and it's a feeling of sense of place, and there's something quite relaxing for it, from my point of view in any case. So that's been well, I wasn't surprised because I knew Albania was a mostly Muslim country, but I hadn't thought of it. Slippers or sliders are a thing. So every hotel stroke apartment I've stayed in Albania, Kosovo and in Macedonia, there have been sliders there, slippers, whatever you call them. So this is obviously people don't wear shoes in their homes. So the implication is that you shouldn't either. So not that it's not happens in the UK as well, but it's yeah, that was something I noticed. They don't tip you, which is great. So it says 200 lek for a coffee. It's 200 lek. There's one that's faffing about showing off with tips. So it tells you how much money, it tells you how much is going in tax, local tax as well, and that's it. It's 600 lek or whatever. That's sorted. One problem Albania and in Kosovo is urban planning, or rather strip development. So it's a bit like Andrew Archie Davis and Tories get their wish, where you can just build as you like, get rid of red tape and the war against woke and the old boys network and Ceredigion councillors, where basically you're elected to give people planning permission. So if you're driving from Tirana to Shkodër, or even worse from Prishtinë, capital of Kosovo, to Mitrovicë, there are houses and shops and garages and washing cars and people selling furniture or tyres every single kilometre. So it's like literally like driving on the old A48 from Cardiff to Swansea. Every part of that route, every single kilometre, there's a big house or there's a garage or someone selling furniture or something, and that's it. It's like on one strip. There's nothing behind them. So I'm presuming maybe you got permission if you're building some kind of a business, and then you could live there, or maybe there weren't any rules after communism. People just wanted the freedom, but it's ugly, and also slows down traffic. There are big new roads being built here which avoid those, but that is an issue. So that's what happens if you have no planning. So planning is good, needs to be done sensibly, but it's good to have a green belt and some urban planning and spatial planning. Kosovo is not a pretty country. It's had a terrible country, but a few years. Prishtinë obviously had the earthquake in 1963. It was then built at the time of huge population growth in the Albanian population, which is one reason they won independence, because demography is the mother of politics. But they had to build houses quickly and apartments quickly, and it's a very difficult place to navigate. The central square is essentially about the same size as Queen Street, and that is it. So it's not a pretty place. Prizren, the second city, the central part is pretty. That's worth going to visit. Mitrovicë was actually quite nice. All Albanian towns are essentially Cumbraen. They've been built from 1950s, 60s, 70s. Mitrovicë split in half, or most of it actually in the Albanian part in North Kosovo. That was quite lively, and it's quite nice proportions, and there's a nice vibe to the place. You cross the bridge to the Serbian part, and it does feel more depressed in terms of the economics and the feeling. Obviously the Serbian part is smaller than the Albanian part as well, so there's just less people there. But the Albanian part of Mitrovicë was quite lively and quite pretty, for basically a new town. That was interesting. Skopje, I like the new build. I know it's it's fashionable to say, oh, it's naff, it's cliches, it's ersatz. You know, they've built the centre of Kosovo. Again, they had the earthquake in 1963, and they rebuilt it, not down, but it was built after the earthquake. And they built it to try and look like Vienna in 1890, so turn of the century, pre-First World War, European city. Yeah, I understand it looks a bit sort of forced and looks a bit naff at times, but you know, why not? You know, this is a new country. There isn't a strong national history to the place, because for most of the last centuries people have said they're basically Bulgarians. Macedonian language is essentially the same as Bulgarian. Serbs have sort of said they're really Serbians, they just don't know it yet. The Albanians live in the west of the country, Turks govern the country, so they try to create a national narrative, and you know, what's wrong with that? You know, Christ, what do you think of all these streets and places in Wales named after British royal family, and places in England or authors and composers? It's trying to build a national narrative. Nothing wrong with that. So why are we sort of looking down again? There's some kind of snobbery against smaller countries, because there's a joke where they have a statue of their king, but if we have a statue of a British king or a German prince or whatever, then you know, this is all terribly sensible. So I agree with this. I think, and in 30 years' time, the new old buildings would look a bit more worn. And you know, I was speaking to a Finnish runner. There's a marathon in Skopje today apparently, and he presumed they were built 100 years ago. So you know, that's how things happen. So yeah, I'm all for that. Tetovo, the big Albanian city in Macedonia, there's nothing special to see there really. It's basically again Cumbraen. But there's a nice vibe about it. I liked it. You still got older women in sort of headscarf, and younger women in conservative Muslim attire. But yeah, it's just lively. A lot of people there. There's also a university there as well, so that added to it. You need a car to be here. No, there's no trains at all in Albania. Essentially, there were none at the beginning of the 20th century. Communist Zog built one with Italian help between the wars, and then Hoxha built some as well during the communism, but they fell into disrepair in the 1990s, and essentially it's collapsed. So hopefully they'll rebuild that. That'll be good to see. And I think that's basically my impressions of Albania. So lots of respect for the Albanian people in Kosovo, Albania, Macedonia, for fighting for their nationality, for their language, against great odds. I'm sure there are problems here which I'm not familiar with. There's no need to say that. There's happening in all countries. There's a problem, I think, with litter. I think there's a problem with planning, and I'm sure things. But you know, if I was Albanian, why would you want to live anywhere else? You know, why wouldn't? I can understand maybe working in Germany or Switzerland or the UK, getting some money. But after 5 years, you could be building a very nice house, huge houses here, huge, and living here where we have this magnificent weather. The 1st of October, 25 degrees. It's been like this all week. Snow in the winter time where they have ski resorts here. Why wouldn't you want to live here? Why would any Albanian want to live in the UK? I just don't get it. So this is a problem for Wales, because look, if Albanians get their act together, they could be marketing themselves as a cheap place to live, fantastic weather, good road infrastructure, some very pleasant towns. Here's especially Vlorë, which is the nicest place I've been to, and fantastic weather. I know, why would you want to be living in Cardiff or Aberystwyth or Bangor or Swansea or Talbot when you could be living here with this lovely nice apartment on the Adriatic between Croatia and Greece, and making a nice living. So Tanani from Albania, Kosovo, Macedonia, Ira Pashum, and Kalamanderit for following me on social media. And I'll see if there's something else that comes to mind. We'll see what to say. But I mean, this is from the balcony where Albanian independence was declared in 1912, and all respect to the Albanians for doing that.